guys, it's Sarah, and today we are starting another reading vlog, a secret TBR reading vlog, and I'm so excited about this one. This is a vlog that I have been wanting to do for a couple of years, and I just didn't make it a priority, and I just didn't do it. And I said, this year, I'm doing it. I've been wanting to make more reading vlogs anyway, and so this year, this one is happening. I have seen a few people do something like this, and I wanted to do it as well. And today I am going to start reading some of my favorite booktubers' favorite books from 2020. I'm going to try to keep these reading vlogs to about 3 books or so, because that takes me a decent amount of time to read. It would take me, a couple of weeks between other things that I'm also reading. So I don't want to make it, I don't want to take too long to make these videos. So I have picked 3. And as people were posting their top books of 2020, I was really trying to see if I could line up some books that I already own, and that was one of my rules. And it needed to be something that I owned. And I really tried to make it so that it was someone's number 1 pick. I struggled with that a little bit because not everyone is ranking their books anymore. A lot of people are just doing their top books, and there's not a number 1, and I just love all these and I can't pick a favorite, and stuff like that, which is fine. If they don't want to do that, that's fine. So I think 2 of these are people's number 1 favorite, that they said hands down, this is my favorite book of the entire bunch. And then 1 that was just a part of someone's top books. So let me show you what they are. The first one is actually the first one that I'm going to be picking up, because I'm going to be buddy reading this with Lindsay and with my friend Candace as well. And we are going to read Lovely War by Julie Berry. This was Haley's favorite book of 2020 from Haley and Bookland. And it was 100%, she said this was her number 1 favorite. And I was really excited when she said that, because we'd already talked about buddy reading this, and I was like, we're doing it in January. So very, very excited for this. This is a historical fiction, but with a little bit of fantasy mixed in, because this is some sort of war story that is told through, or it's being told by Greek gods. I think Hades is one of them. I'm pretty sure, let's see if I can figure it out. But Greek gods are telling these stories. So, and they're telling it almost like a play. So Aphrodite is one of the people who is narrating the story, basically. And then I'm trying to see if I can find another name. Apollo is one. Ares is one. So just a whole bunch of Greek gods are telling this, and I think that's so interesting, and I'm really, really curious about it. And the second I heard about that premise, I ordered this book. So very excited, and I think this is going to be the first one that I'm going to be reading. This next one is the one that was just part of a top books of the year, and I decided to go with this one because number 1, I owned it, and number 2, it was a book that was gifted to me, so that it's nice to, finally be able to read some of these books that you guys are sending me. And it's also, not only was this book included in her top 10 or her top books of the year, this author was featured more than once. So I was like, okay. So she talked about this author with 2 different books, and then I have this one, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. So I'm going to read Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Senner, and this was featured on, I think it was the top 15 books of 2020 by Tia, from Tia and All the Books. So she featured this one, and then I think she also talked about How to Walk Away. I just don't have that book, so I decided to go ahead and feature this one here because I did have it. It's also nice and short, so I think it's going to be a quicker read for me, so that'll be nice. And I've been very, very interested in reading Catherine Senner because she has been an author that has been getting a lot of buzz lately since this one and How to Walk Away came out. And I think she has a newer release as well. If it's not out already, I think it is. But this is the only one that I have, so we're going to read this one. And then the third book that I'm going to read is a number one pick by a booktuber. This was 100% her number one pick of the year. It's also kind of a shorter read. It was also sent to me by said booktuber. So I'm going to read The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This is Krista's favorite book of 2020 from Krista Books and Jams from her on her channel. She has her video up, and she sent me this for our 12 Plaids of Christmas book exchange, and this was her number one read of 2020. So I'm going to read this one as well. Now, this is a nonfiction, and so we'll see how this goes. And this one is, again, another short one. I usually like to listen to my nonfiction, but I think this one I might try to read physically and see how that goes first. And then if I feel like I need to, I could switch to the audio, but I think I'm going to try to read this one physically since it is a shorter one. And I've heard you kind of need to really take your time and marinate in it and kind of take it all in because it's going to be heavy. But I'm very excited to read this one. So I'm going to read this one as well. Okay, so 3 of my favorite booktubers, 3 of their favorite books. We're going to read them and we're going to see what we think. Okay, guys, we are going to get started on Lovely War. Now, Lindsay and Candace both started this last night, and I was deep into Supernatural, which I didn't want to climb out of, so I did not start this last night with them. But they were both just raving already within the first 50 pages about how much they were enjoying it and how they just did not want to put it down. I was like, so I'm finally picking it up this morning. I'm very excited to get started. This is set out like a play, and it is being told from Greek gods. So there's, I think the biggest one is Aphrodite is telling the story, and I believe it's a love story set among war, I think maybe. I don't know if there's a wartime situation or not, to be honest with you. But there's Aphrodite, there's Apollo, there's Ares. Those are the big ones that I saw kind of flipping through this. So those are some of the narrators here, and you're being told a story from them, which kind of reminds me a little bit of the Book of Life, how they had people telling like a love story. So I think that's kind of cool. So I'm very, very happy to be picking this up this morning and see what I think. And we have kind of a pace that we're going to go at, and we're going to go ahead and get working right now. So this is happening right now. This is happening right now. I have a distance learner here this week. She's doing her schoolwork. So my other one is here as well, but she's on a break. So she's hanging out in her room until she has to get back on for her next class. But we are distance learning this week, and they go back next week. So very happy about that. And so are they. They enjoy being at school and being in the school classroom and being with their friends and doing all that. So they're happy to go back next week as well. But for today and for the rest, yep, we are doing that. So, all right, but I am going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to let you know what I think about this. I'm probably just going to do the way I did last time, where I just read one book and I'll let you know what I think. Since I have 3 books to talk about, I don't want to make it too long. So when I finish this, I will let you know what my thoughts are. For everyone who wanted more Riley content, here you go. He's chewing his foot. His entire foot is in his mouth. That's what's happening. There's Riley for you. Hey guys. Okay, so finished Lovely War by Julie Berry. I read this with Lindsay and with Candace. We finished this a couple days ago, but I had to let this process, because this book is one of the best books I've ever read. This was one of the most unique things I've ever experienced. It is a love story told, well, 2 different love stories told during World War I, and the narrators of this story are Greek gods. And It was brilliant. It was so brilliant the way this was done. The gods were snarky, they were funny, they were fighting, they were arrogant, they made me laugh. And the way that especially Aphrodite was one of the main narrators. The other gods do come into it as well, but Aphrodite was the main narrator here. And the way she was telling the story just had me completely captivated. And, this is a time, it's the early 1900s, during World War I. So back then, like showing your ankles was a big deal. You know what I mean? And things like that just had me swooning and just built up that anticipation so much. And then the way she let you really get to know these characters, you cared so much about them. You really cared what happened to them. You really just wanted the best for them. Oh man, it was fantastic. And then you kind of go back and forth. So the gods are in 1942. So that's actually like World War II time frame as well. So you're kind of going back and forth a little bit. You're not getting anything from the outside in World War II, but you are in the World War I situation. So that's mainly where the story is told. But then you kind of go back to the gods and have scenes with just them and they're talking to each other and all that stuff. So it's kind of like a little reminder that this is who's telling the story. And it was just incredible. Now, there are some content warnings in here that I will talk about. This does deal very heavily with racism because one of the characters in this love story was a Black soldier in World War I. So that was a big thing in here. And there's also war and battle scenes, very detailed battle scenes. So if that's something that you're uncomfortable with, keep that in mind. And there was also definitely one situation where there was a sexual assault scene. So there is that. But this was so brilliant and has become a new favorite. And I finished it and I told Lindsay and Candace, I was like, did I just read my favorite book of the year? It's only January. But it's up there, guys. Like, this is top 10 of all time contender. It is one of the most unique things I've ever read. And now I want to read much more from this author. I loved it so much. So much. And huge thanks to Haley for choosing it as her favorite book of last year and got my butt to read it finally. Okay, so now we are going to move on to my next book. So I am going to go ahead and pick up Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center. This was featured on Tia from Tia and All the Books in her favorites of 2020. It wasn't a specific number. She just listed her top favorite books, and this was in here. A couple of Catherine Center books were actually in that video, so I grabbed this one because this is the only one that I own. So yeah, but this is a female firefighter main character, and I believe she's living in Texas and has like a great relationship with her crew and, very, very happy. But then I think she gets into a very sticky situation, and then some family issues cause her to move to Boston to be near her mother, I believe. And so she tries to join a firefighter crew up there and has a really hard time with that. I don't think they're very accepting of female firefighters, so she has to deal with that. So I've heard amazing things about it. It's not super long. It's just over 300 pages, so I think I can probably read it pretty quickly. But I am very excited to get into this one, so I will let you know my thoughts. Okay, I just finished Things You Save in a Fire last night, and I loved it. I loved every page of this book. I thought this was fantastic. I felt like I was reading a season of 911, the TV show. That's what I felt like, because that follows a crew of firefighters. And the characters in that TV show, to me, were in my head when I was reading this. That's who I was picturing. I just couldn't help it. And I loved it. There was definitely sexism in here. So there's that. There is also a character who is dealing with the after effects of a rape. So that's a big thing in here as well. So that instance is not super detailed, but it's there, definitely. And there is a memory of it. So keep that in mind if that's something you're sensitive to that is in here. And I loved it though. I loved the romance that happens in here. I loved the banter between all the firefighters. I thought it was great. I love that Catherine Center's husband is a volunteer firefighter, so she got a lot of her, information and experiences from him directly. So I thought that was great. It makes it very authentic. So loved it. 5 stars. Thank you, Tia, for recommending this because it was fantastic. And thank you, Jenna, for gifting this to me. So that is fantastic. Okay, so last on my list is The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This book was not only sent to me by Krista, but it was also her #1 favorite book of 2020. And that's the reason she sent it to me. She loved this book. She cried. I've heard amazing things about this from a lot of different people who have read it. It's a nonfiction. It follows Anthony Ray and his experience being wrongfully convicted of a murder or a string of murders. And he served on death row for 30 years until he was proven that he didn't do it. And so this is his story, and it's the things that he experienced. It's his story of forgiveness, which don't know that I'm that strong. But yeah, so I've heard very, very good things. I'm very excited to read it. It's not super long, so I'm hoping I can get to it fairly quickly. But yeah, this was Krista's favorite book of last year. So I am very, very happy to dive in and see what I think. Okay, guys, so I just finished The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. And I loved it. I loved it. This one was hard, though. It was a hard read. It was heartbreaking. It was hard to read about the blatant racism in here and the blatant mistreatment of him and the court system just completely failing him. It's something I'll never understand. But at the same time, it was also very hopeful because of his attitude. And he never gave up hope that he was going to get out of there. He had hard times, definitely. I mean, he was on death row for almost 30 years. That's, that gets into everyone's psyche. But he did some amazing things in there too, though. He really connected with the other inmates. He even made friends with Henry Hayes, who was the person who committed the last lynching in Alabama, I believe. He was raised as a racist, and they became friends. So wow, that was really powerful. And he started a book club in the middle of death row, and he continues to this day to fight for people who are on death row wrongfully. There are some people who are on death row. He doesn't excuse their behavior at all. He does want to do away with the death penalty, though, completely. So there is that. And, the main reason for that is that there are people on there who don't deserve to be there. So really, really good commentary on all that stuff. And then his lawyer becomes Brian Stevenson, who wrote Just Mercy and who fights for, to get people out of jail who don't deserve to be there. So that's his life's work, and it was really, really powerful. So I love their connection as well. And I highly recommend this on audiobook. I did listen to it. It's fantastic on audio, and I really want to read Just Mercy now. So I think it's on my wish list. If it's not, I'll add it on there. I think it is, though. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm going to go check after this, but fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. Yes. So thank you, Krista, for sending this to me, and thank you for putting it on your list so that I, had the push to read it. And wow. So that was really, really powerful. Okay. So wrapping up, I read Lovely War, which was Haley's pick, and I gave it 5 stars. I read Things You Save in a Fire, which was Tia's pick, and I gave it 5 stars. And I read The Sun Does Shine, which was Krista's pick, which I gave 5 stars. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a massive success. And yeah, wow, just 3 5-star books. It's incredible. I love it when that happens, when it's just back to back to back books that are just wowing you and making you feel good and making you think and all that good stuff. So that was fantastic. Okay, so let me know down below if you guys have read any of these. Let me know your thoughts if you did. I will have links to them all down below as well. They are going to be Amazon affiliate links. So if you do choose to purchase them using the links, then I do get a small commission. So just full disclosure on that. I'm doing that for all of my videos from here on out. I'm including links to all of those so that you guys can have easy access to them if you want to grab them. But hey, let me know your thoughts down below, definitely. And I will see you guys again very soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.